This is one of our 40-foot coaches. It's a 50 passenger. It's also a Vanhool, but it's a 2140 model, or a T2140 model. And really there's not a whole lot of difference from the newer ones, except for this particular dashboard. Some of the switches are rubbed off. So I can refer you to some of the switches that are rubbed off that you can't understand what they are, such as the headlight switch, which is the first switch, and the clearance light switch in the middle row. This is row number 1, row number 2, row number 3. Switch number 1 is the headlights, 2 is the clearance lights. Make sure they're both on. You got your headlights and clearance lights. These are just dummy lights that probably don't work anymore on this bus. This is a coach rear tag axle lift. That's what this switch is for here, and that light comes on if it's ever activated. Basically, it takes all the pressure off the tag axle and puts it on the drive line. You would only want to do this if you needed extra traction to try to get out of a slippery situation such as snow or mud. WC is water closet. That's the restroom. Turn that on for the restroom light. You can almost still see where it says WC on there, but some of them are rubbed off, so you get an idea. Let's go over these switches really quickly so you can watch this video as many times as you need to. This one's set up a little bit different because what they've done is they've put a master switch here up next to the radio and the four-way flashers and your mirror adjustment. The master switch has to be on to power up the system to start the engine. This bus has a key, so it does not require a safety switch to be turned on like the newer coaches. Once the master switch is on, you can turn the key to the first position. You're going to hear a series of clicks, noises, and buzzers. You're listening for the clicks. When the computer clicks have stopped, that's when you can turn the key and fire the engine. This dashboard is basically the same as the new coaches, except for some of the switches have changed their icon or their logo to tell you what they are. In the middle row again, the middle row is your headlights, clearance lights, your ASR. This is the driver's light. Turn it on, you have the driver's light up above your head. This is the passenger aisle light. If it's in the halfway position, it's just some night lights for watching TV at night. All the way down is the bright lights in the aisle. The next switch over, this is the third switch here in this group, is the reading lights above each passenger seat. Turn that on, and the passengers now have control of turning their lights on or off. Next switch is the luggage light. Looks like a little piece of luggage there. That's for nighttime loading luggage. The moon light, if you have that on at the same time that you have your reading lights on, it will only allow the passengers to use the reading lights, and the overhead night lights will go off. Third row, there's the brake retarder, as we discussed in the other videos. This one is a little different because it has only an on and off switch. When the brake retarder is on this particular coach, that means that when you put your foot on the brake, it will also engage the engine brake at the same time. Manually, you can control the engine brake by this little stick here. It looks like a turn signal that's on the right side of the steering wheel. This will cancel your cruise control if you ever turn it on while you're in cruise mode. This particular bus just has an off, a low, and a high position. Take some time and use that without passengers so you get an idea how that feels when it comes on. Down below the switchboard, you have a little different setup, the parking brake and your climate control. Again, when the climate control is powered up, you're going to get some numbers that are going to appear. the master switch to turn the switch on, to turn the system on, is the first switch down here with the snowflake. Used to be a snowflake on there. Again, this is a climate control system, so it's one power switch to turn it on, and then you'll see a display here, if I can get it to come on. This particular coach does not have any air pressure right now, so it's going to be a little noisy with the air building on this coach. What I wanted to show you is the temperature setting in the display is the temperature setting for the interior of the coach. You can raise it and lower it by these two arrows. You want to know what the outside temperature is, you can hit the outside temperature button and it will show you the temperature. Then after a few seconds it's going to go back to its default setting. The power switch for the AC on and off. This is the recirculation button, just like we discussed on the older coach. If it's really hot, you want it closed. If it's really cold outside, you want it closed so it doesn't bring any outside air inside the coach. The next button over is the Webasto heater. Just like we discussed on the other bus, this coach has a preheater for cold winter starts. To use this button, you want to turn this on first before you fire the engine on a cold morning. About 15 minutes, so that preheats the engine and the engine will start easy. To open and close the door on this particular coach, the door button is not red anymore. This is an aftermarket button that was installed after the original red button probably got dysfunctional. To push it once to close the door, push it again to open the door, or vice versa. That's what the silver button is here. And don't get confused with the safety announcement button and the door button on this particular coach. We move over to the left side. It's pretty simple. You have your shifter,